Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I am Jeff.
And this is our episode 60 discussion episode. We're not doing a review for episode 60 because it's one of the 10s, which means a top 10 list. Bum, bum, bum.
Bwom.
Super glorious.
It's like the Price is Right sound.
No, I thought you were trying to do like Inception or
That's
something.
what I thought too.
No. Bum, bum,
There was some other...
Bwom.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was some other movie that made liberal use of the, like, real heavy, like, wah.
Certainly wasn't Dunkirk.
No.
Well, that's good,
Yeah.
I guess.
Mostly just people screaming as
Yeah.
they die. That's mostly what that movie was.
Lovely. Right on. Well, as we mentioned on Wednesday, this episode is a top 10 list, and we are going back over our personal top 10 games. For anybody who's been listening from the beginning, especially people who maybe have started listening recently and listened through all the episodes, they might be shocked when in episode 10, my top 10 list included games like Splendor, considering that's really not the type of game that I seem to like anymore. And in fact, I don't think I've played Splendor since that top 10 episode.
I was surprised at how much mine changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like mine had on it... Well, Splendor's the one that really, I think, stands out the most. Catan was on there. Codenames was on there. You know, but everything else isn't egregious. So, anyway, so we decided that now, it's been a year. We've been really critically looking at games and things. Mm-hmm. There's been some fantastic games that have come out in the last year that might have made their way onto some lists. And, just felt like, coming off of the 1 year anniversary, it felt like a good time to kind of just touch base on that and see where we are and how our tastes have changed, or maybe not even necessarily our tastes, but just our views on our tastes. I don't know.
Just give that base a little tap. Mm-hmm. Just a little tap on the base. Just a little touch.
Yes.
Touch the base.
Just the tip.
So I think without really much further ado, we can kind of just dive right into this thing. But before we even do that, 3 games that are not going to be on my list, Spires, Hanabi, and The Climbers, are all excellent games that I have really enjoyed lately. Well, Hanabi I've been enjoying for years. But Spires and Climbers are both ones I've come across that I've enjoyed a whole lot. I've played a bunch recently, but they all feel like fillers. They're not quite gamey enough for me to feel like I wanted them. I couldn't find a place for them on the list. They're great games. I love them, and I will play them a lot, but they didn't quite fit. And then Stockpile, Networks, Lignum, and Concordia are also 4 other games that I absolutely love, but I don't own. And for the purpose of this list, I actually like to help kind of narrow down some tough decisions. I went with, if I don't own it, then can it really be one of my top 10 games? Like, why wouldn't I own one of my top 10 games? So that was something I used to help with some of my decision-making process.
So at the end, are we going to talk about the games that got removed from last time?
Sure.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
So I can go ahead and guess that Twilight Imperium 3rd Edition is not going to be on his list this time because you don't fucking own that.
It is not, and that's one of the other things that I do want to save. But Zach just spoiled that a little bit.
Spoiler.
Yeah. Well, you set me up to be spoiled.
Yeah, it's fine.
So.
He hit that ball over the base that we need to touch.
Yeah.
Jeff,
I
what
just
honorable mentions do you have?
So my last time my honorable mention was Lords of Waterdeep because I really like that. That has this year's honorable mention is now Champions of Midgard because that has totally replaced Lords of Waterdeep
with the
for me.
expansions.
With the
right?
expansions,
Yeah.
But yeah, Champions of Midgard. I've only played it once, and I'm like, I don't think I need to play Lords of Waterdeep ever again.
Same here.
But I love Lords of Waterdeep, and I could see myself really loving Champions of Midgard as well. So
I got the at Gen Con. I bought the big ass fucking mat for it.
now we just need somewhere big enough to play with the giant map.
Yes.
Because it has the expansions built into the giant mouse pad that is the Champions of Midgard board.
Yeah. It looks really nice.
It is. It is
Zach?
very nice.
I'm pretty sure you could swaddle a fucking medium-sized dog with that one as well.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not Jinx, but
No.
She
Try.
needs swaddling. She hurt herself. Anyway, Zach, what are your honorable mentions?
My only honorable mention is Pandemic Legacy Season 1. And it's just because Legacies are hard games to...
it's like, man, I really love this game that I don't want to ever play again because I played it once.
Yeah, well, I could see myself eventually playing it again. I think if it's gaming experiences, it would be 1 or 2 easily. Yes. But it just feels weird to put on. I don't know. It just it
didn't fit.
It just didn't fit. So, but it's not. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe if I put it as a 0.5 somewhere, I'd be like 3.5. No.
Oh, yeah. By the way, my list is broken down into quarters. Yeah. So there's a 1.75, 1.5,
okay.
1.25. Right. I did a top 40, essentially.
Good to hear.
He was in the spirit of the base touching.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that it is 11 or below. It feels like I just couldn't figure out a place for it, but it's just there. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well,
it's in the greatest of all time, just so you can't. It's in the Hall of Fame, so it can't compete again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like how Red Rocks Amphitheater, when they had the best venue award, they won it 10 years in a row, and so they just said, you're no longer eligible. This is now the Red Rocks Award.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so the award for best concert venue in the country is the Red Rocks Award, and Red Rocks is ineligible to win it.
Yep, sounds about right.
I never knew that.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite fun facts about Red Rocks. So,
Red Rock fun fact.
I don't think there's going to be nearly as much overlap this time.
RRFF.
Sorry. God damn it, Zach. I don't think there's going to be nearly as much overlap in this top 10 as there was in the last top 10. But one thing that I do want to steal from Heavy Cardboard when they have done some of their top lists, if there's one that when one of us says, oh yeah, my number 7 is game Z, if it's on somebody else's list higher, just chime in and be like, we'll talk about that in a little bit. And that way we only really talk about each game one time.
I'm pretty sure Dice Tower did that first, FYI.
Well, I don't listen to
I know, I'm just
Dice
saying.
Tower.
I'm just saying.
Okay, well.
I saw the Dice Tower people.
Yes.
In close range while I was buying Terraforming Mars promos.
Yeah. So, who would like to start?
I'll go ahead and start.
All right. Zach, what's your number 10?
So my number 10 is Crokinole.
Okay.
The first time I played it was Conclave, 2+ years, almost 3 years ago. And I did really like that, but then I just hadn't thought about it because I didn't own the game. I just hadn't played it since then. And then Paul ended up getting a copy, and then I got my copy too. And every time since then I've played it, I was like, oh yeah, I just want to play the shit out of that. And this also is it so happens for my top 10 list that each of them I could actually figure out a different type of game that it was.
Okay.
This one, I didn't try and be like, oh, this is my favorite dexterity game. I don't have them all. I didn't be like, okay, well, I have dexterity, I'm not going to do another one. I listed all of them, and I was from oh, I could actually put all of these in their own separate things, so I'm going to do that.
Cool.
So this is also my favorite dexterity game.
Right on. Jeff, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is War of the Rings 2nd Edition. Got into this one earlier this year. Ant was like, we should play something. And then I showed up and he had War of the Rings set up. It's a game that I had been interested in for a very long time because, as you might, spoiler alert for the rest of my list, 2-player asymmetrical games are some of my favorite. And this is definitely one of the kings of those kind of games. We played 2 games. Each was about 3 hours. We switched sides. We played with both expansions, which I would not recommend for someone that had never played the game before because I got monkey stomped both times.
Or whatever the Middle Earth version of monkey is.
Yeah. A ton of fun. Weird cards can go in there. I got the Fellowship Takes the Western Way card, where I could go to the Grey Havens and just sail all the way to Gondor instead of having to trudge across Moria and stuff like that. I did that, and Ant's like, no, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you going that way? No, you're new. You don't go that way. And I was like, well, here's this card that lets me just sail around the world. He's like, I have never seen that card before.
Nice.
And I don't know how many times he's played this game.
Yeah, I've played it a few times, and I'd never seen that.
Yeah, you can just go to the Grey Havens and be like, yeah, I'm gone. So War of the Rings 2nd Edition, crazy amount of miniatures, an insane amount of miniatures.
Yeah.
Super, super cool game that I love.
I really like Lord of the Rings. I've only ever played it with Ant. It falls into this weird area for me. It's one of those games that I absolutely love, and I've never had a bad time playing it, but I never feel like I want to play it. Ant will regularly be like, dude, War of the Ring. And I'm like, I'm not really feeling it. But anytime he's like, dude, War of the Ring, it's happening. Then I'm like, all right, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I always have a bunch of fun playing it. So yeah, no, it's a really good game. And
I I was able to get a hold of a second edition copy while it was out of print. Someone was moving, and I got it for like $55-$60.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that's a steal.
Yeah, I got a lot of good games. That's when I got Chaos in the Old World for like $35.
Oh, yeah.
Well after it was out of print / stock. So
Cool.
yeah,
I don't think I don't know if I'd ever play that game, but that's solely because of the theme. Unlike Adrian, I don't like Lord of the Rings at all.
yeah. The theme is so much part of it. I love Lord of the
Yeah,
Rings, so
yeah.
I mean, I get a lot more out of it than someone that's just like, this is fantasy, and I guess Frodo's in it.
Well, and then a lot of the way that like the hidden movement in Fury of Dracula really fits like Dracula. The hidden movement in War of the Ring really kind of fits the Lord of the Rings like theme. Like
Yeah.
they did a great job of matching the mechanics in that game.
Oh, I'm sure,
to
yeah.
the theme. Like it just all clicks. So like if you love Lord of the Rings, you're probably gonna love War of the Ring. Like
Oh, yeah.
it's one of those games where the theme, if you enjoy the theme of it, then you're going to like the game because everything just fits so well.
There's so much in there that's just, even in the books, like if you're a big book fan, you'll be like, oh shit.
I recognize all of this.
Yeah, even the flavor text and stuff on
Yeah.
all the cards.
That's where like Star Wars Rebellion was like, oh shit, that's like my version of War of the Rings.
Yes.
So yeah.
Right on. My number 10 is... So I'm going to preface this. I struggled a whole lot with like my bottom few, finding the right games to put in there.
That's why you had a dozen honorable mentions.
Yes. And a big part of this is because my gaming tastes have shifted dramatically in the last year or so. And I still haven't fully explored the new, like, heavy, deep side of the hobby that I can list a dozen games that I actively want to play that I haven't played yet that I think could ultimately end up in some of these spots.
Go ahead.
But these are what I have. What?
You said you had 12. I was just go ahead, list them.
Oh. I'm terrible just doing things off the cuff like that, but I know there's a bunch of them.
Okay.
So what I have here...
Don't
let
die, Jeff.
Finish dying.
I'm slowly dying.
Okay. I mean, aren't we all?
We are.
Yeah. So my number 10 is Imperial Settlers. This is a game that I've always enjoyed. I've had a lot of fun with it. I'm really glad that Megan picked it out last year at Gen Con. We were walking around just looking at games, and she thought it looked cool. We looked at it a little bit and talked to the people at Portal, and she was like, yeah, I'm going to buy this. And she bought it, and I've loved it. I like just the way it plays out. The 5-round limit, so it keeps it short. It doesn't drag on. It could be a little bit draggy if you play with a full player count and new players because there's so much card reading. But it and another game that shows up a little bit later on, once you kind of understand the game and the iconography and everything that goes on in it, it's a breeze. And now that I have all the expansions and after we did our review and we discovered the whole deck building aspect of it, I am so excited for Megan to come home at the end of September so that we can start like just having evenings where we bust out the game, spend an hour or so, maybe put on something on Netflix, and then spend an hour chit-chatting and building a deck, and then get done and play. Because I love it as a 2-player game, and I'm really excited for the deck building aspect of it. So Imperial Settlers is my number 10.
I don't like the deck building in that game,
Yeah, I didn't.
but I like the game.
The game was fine enough.
To be fair, I haven't tried the deck building, but I'm looking forward to, like, I'm hoping that it ends up being what I'm wanting it to be.
Yeah,
So,
it's a fun game otherwise.
yeah.
Fuck the Atlanteans.
Yeah, seriously.
We'll see how some of that works in 2-player.
Yeah.
My number 9 is Isle of Skye. This game, for me, fits a very specific kind of niche in my collection, in that it is a game that is light enough that I feel comfortable teaching quite literally anybody this game. Like, I don't care if you've never played a game before ever in your life. You know, you didn't even ever play Monopoly or Risk or anything. I'll teach you Isle of Skye. I think that it teaches really easy. I think it's got simple enough gameplay that pretty much anybody can catch on and play it and play well enough to enjoy it. And it's a game that I absolutely love playing. I've always enjoyed Isle of Skye. It might be one of my most played games. The first time I played it was before I logged them, but me and my brother played probably 7 or 8 games the first Thanksgiving weekend that him and I were together after I got this game. I've played it a ton, and I have always enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to what the expansion has to offer, as far as, changing the game and hopefully maybe giving it a little bit more depth. If I had one complaint, it's that it is a little bit shallow, but it's pretty broad. There's a lot of things that go on, and it's just got a ton of variability that really keeps it fresh for me. So Isle of Sky is my number 10 or number 9.
I like Isle of Sky.
And I did not.
Yeah.
But I don't fault the game for that as much.
It's your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Right on. Zach, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is Cribbage. So, this is also my favorite like deck of cards game.
Okay.
And I every time I play this, I just always have such a great time, and I love teaching this to new people. I love having people that don't know how to play watch the game without context, and then I always say, if you know nothing about cribbage, watch the game, and then you will somehow know less about cribbage after watching people play it.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you counting cards like that? You're nightmare people.
Why was 13 no points, but 15 2 points, but then 17 also 2 points?
Yeah. It's definitely arbitrary the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're welcome, everyone.
Yeah. And I still need to take the podcast trophy away from you, Jeff.
I just need to play it more than once,
Yes.
clearly.
But yeah, it's always the game that I'll curse the most at. But I really do love this game.
Yeah, I agree. Cribbage is a great game. Especially like you said, like as far as deck of card type games. I didn't put any of those types of games on my list. I thought more like in the hobby, I guess. It just wasn't something that crossed my mind. I'm not judging you.
Fucking felt like it.
It's a fantastic game. It's a fantastic game.
I only put fucking games in here that are in the fucking hobby. Blah blah blah.
But it's a ton of fun. It's a great game. I agree that it's funny to watch the look on somebody's face, like you said, like who doesn't know the game and walks over and watches somebody play. Or especially like if they catch you like at the end after you've pegged for the first round, then you're totaling your scores and you're like, all right, I got 15-2, 15-4, like just the weird number counting, a triple run of whatever for 8. Like.
Yeah. Also, one of my favorite people to play this with, Matt. I'm pretty sure I'm going to give him an anxiety attack at some point.
Well, I really want to. I didn't get a chance to at Gen Con, but I know Patrick plays, and I would really like to get some solid plays in with Patrick sometime.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just get crushed.
Oh yeah. Jeff, what is your number 9?
This game probably fell the hardest from last year, but Caverna is my number 9. Still on the top 10, but I also haven't played it in a year.
Yeah.
Still my favorite Uwe game. Probably one of my favorite worker placement, like heavy worker placement games. It's hard to expound more on it that I didn't last year because I've only played it with you guys once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's now the second heaviest game I own, I guess. Maybe no, third. So it's Gloomhaven, Feast for Odin, Caverna, weight-wise.
Right. Yeah.
Like actual weight.
Actual
like
weight.
Weight.
Yeah. Caverna used to be like, man, this game's heavy. And then Feast for Odin came out. Man, this game is heavy. And then Gloomhaven came out, and it was like a fucking nuclear explosion compared to the firecracker of weight.
You went and bought a 50-pound insert.
Yeah, it needs it.
Yeah, it does.
Caverna has an insert, too. But yeah, the amount of options and such that you have with Caverna, there's almost no expansions, a little promo expansion that's come out, and then the one in the magazine that you can't find anymore. That's all they really expanded on it until that new one comes out, and I'm looking forward to that one. But we should play Caverna more because it's real good.
I've only played it the one time, and it spawned one of the most enduring and annoying stories about me as a board gamer. And so that might have ruined Caverna for me forever.
It's floor slapping.
It's one time.
You keep bringing it up.
But yeah, Caverna, still a fantastic Uwe game.
Yeah, this is one, like, it's a really common, like, kind of thing to ask people who really like Uwe games, like, which do you prefer, Agricola or Caverna? And it seems like divide into the two types of Uwe fans.
Yeah.
They're very similar games, but
they are.
Yeah, I liked it. I would probably play it again.
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
Exactly.
7 players. Game's fucking
7 players, game night. Let's do this.
It's a fucking 7-player game.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Never play with that many people ever. Just burn that 7th player token set.
Unless you pay us $25 a month, and you can be like, I want to play fucking 7-player Caverna.
Just find that many friends that want to make them all also pay $25 a month. And then...
All right, Jeff. What is your number 8?
My number 8 is Seven Wonders Duel. Seven Wonders Duel is a game that sort of passed off beyond me for a little while until I finally got a hold of it. I had seen it like shoot up on Board Game Geek. I liked Seven Wonders, and then finally got Seven Wonders Duel for cheap on a sale or something like that. I was like, what out? I'll get Seven Wonders Duel and get free shipping. And then tried it, played it, and then fell in love. The expansion was out pretty quickly after that. Downside is I let a bunch of friends borrow it, and I am now missing like an unreasonable amount of pieces to the point of where I probably have to buy another expansion.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, like I'm missing whole like god cards.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, that's really shitty.
Would it still be number 8 without the expansion, or is that with the expansion?
It would be number 8 even without the expansion.
Okay.
The expansion definitely makes it better, but I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
But it does add a lot to the game.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Seven Wonders Duel is one of my favorite. Like, you're new to this whole board game thing, aren't you? Well, here's Seven Wonders Duel. Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite like intro kind of games.
I get that.
I really like Seven Wonders Duel, but it got even with the expansion, it started to feel very much the same for me after a lot of plays. Has that not been an issue for you?
No, because there's games coming up later that can be literally the same game every time, and that has no problem for me because I get a lot out of the like. I mean, it's random enough to where the cards are and what's flipped up and flipped down, and then trying to like get your right pick strategies for your wonders and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's more what I get out of the game than like whatever the cards are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Nice.
My number 8 is a game that came out since we did our last list. So this one is totally new to the list, and it is Tramways, the first train game to appear on my list. I really, really like Tramways. Albin Viard is definitely a designer that is now very firmly planted on my radar as somebody whose designs I like. And yeah, I like the modular boards in Tramways. I like the route building. I like the pick up and deliver. I like how tight it can be and how tense some of the decisions can be about, do I like try and build track this turn, or do I try and move people this turn? Like what do I do on my turn that's going to benefit me the most, but is not going to leave me open for somebody else taking advantage of what I didn't do? There's just so much going on, and it always feels quite a bit different every time I play. Like, even though you're doing the same things, just the variability in the board layout and just in the decision that people make at any given time make each play feel very unique. There's like almost no randomness outside of the initial setup, and that's fantastic. You can really kind of plan for things, and it rewards foresight and planning, and that's exactly what I like. So Tramways, my number 8.
Satchmo?
Right. I don't like the game, but I think we already talked about that way back when, but
I have yet to play it.
It's,
we haven't reviewed it yet.
No. So. I'm really not a fan of the auction in particular. So
that's one of my favorite things. It's one of the coolest auction mechanics I've ever seen.
It feels complicated to be complicated.
We'll see when I finally play it.
Yeah. And when we dive in deeper for a review in the future.
Yeah.
So, Zach, what is your number 8?
My number 8 is Game of Thrones 2nd Edition, the board game. And this is also my favorite area control game. I played a decent amount of area control games in the past. Like, obviously everyone starts with Risk, and then you find more gamier versions. I tried Small World, which had all the combat was very deterministic. So it was just, I have 3 armies, you have 4 armies, your 4 is going to win. I really didn't like that game because I always like a bit of not so much, but just a bit of variety in terms of fighting and stuff like that. And but I can also understand people not liking Risk style of just rolling dice and whatever one wins. So I really think that Game of Thrones gets a good balance between the two of it is deterministic in terms of your fucking pieces, but you have your cards that you can play. They can add towards that. You have you can get help from other people. You can get help from your own pieces and stuff like that. The theme goes a long way with this game too. I think it really plays well into the actual game, and it's just a really good longer game that you can spend a good Saturday afternoon playing
and hating each other.
Yes.
Yeah. I also really enjoy Game of Thrones. It's not on my list, but that's largely because I haven't played that game in probably over a year at this point. I've liked it every time I've played it. I agree that the gameplay really fits the theme, which is really key for me for games like that. Like games that are outside of my normal what I like, the theme has to nail the theme. So like War of the Ring is kind of that way. Like War of the Ring is the kind of game that I would normally like, but it nails the theme and it's a theme I like. And that's the same thing with Game of Thrones. Yeah, it's one of those that it's so much more about even the people you play with and the interaction with the other players than the game itself. And that's one of the things that drew me into board gaming in the first place was having interaction with other players, sitting down and playing a game. Like I've always loved games. I played video games all my life. It's that interaction, and Game of Thrones nails that. So I agree. It's a great game.
Interact the shit out of each other.
Yep.
Zach, you're number 7.
So my number 7 is Hanami Koji. This is also my favorite 2-player game / filler game. And yeah, it's the first time I played that. I paid twice what I was supposed to for it. And, I paid, $25-$30 versus the 12 that you can buy it for now. And I felt it was worth every penny. The first time I played it, I was just like, wow, there's a lot of strategic depth to this game with how little actual, game there is in terms of, pieces. There's a lot of thinking you have to do. There's a lot of times where you're just looking at 4 cards. The only thing you have left to play is to make it into 2 stacks, and the other person has to take one first, and you're just like, okay, well, if I put these 2 together, I know he wants this. There's just a lot of decisions you have to make that you feel like you're putting a lot of weight behind. And I feel like every time every time I've played it, the person who I played against is just like, oh, sweet, you want to play again? Because it only takes 15, 20 minutes at most, usually. And I just always, like Jamie Stegmaier said, always leaves you wanting more.
Yeah.
And art on it is gorgeous, and it's a great game.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's another one that's not on my list. It probably could have went in either one of those 2 piles. It could have went in my I don't own it, so it's not on my list pile, or in the it's just not quite enough.
Meaty enough for you?
Yeah. But I agree. I remember the first time we played that, and you explained the rules, and you went first, and then it was all right, it's your turn. And I was like, oh God, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah.
And every time I played it, I end up in that same situation. It's I could do this, but I don't want to do that because that. But I don't want to do this, but I don't want to do this, and it's just then it burns your brain. It's really good, tense decisions. I agree, and the art's fantastic, and it's another one. It's simple enough. It's not hard to teach somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic game.
One of my favorite things was when we first played. It was either the first or second game where I did my discard 2 cards and then save 1 card thing all secretly, and you did your 2 big ones, the 2 public ones, and you're just like, I have no fucking idea what you have, Zach.
Yep. Yeah.
Whatever decision you make, it's going to be the wrong one.
Yeah, and I think the best thing about the game is when it goes beyond the first round. And that it becomes a different game because any card that you already have, you only need a tie, and then you keep that that geisha. And so it becomes especially the 2-player, the 2 level ones, you start playing a much different game once you go into the second or third rounds because you're you want to keep your control, but you want to gain something from the other person. It's well, I'll give them this lower one to get this higher one. It's really pull and push sort of thing. It's really cool.
Yeah, and then the difference is in to keep control, if you tie, you keep control. They have to take it. So especially on those 2s, it's well, as long as if I have both cards, I can toss one, and as long as I get to play the other one, I'm good. Or if I toss them both, if I can find some way to not have to deal with it. Yeah, really, really like Hanami Koji.
Oh yeah,
it's a good game.
I've only played it a couple times, but I've enjoyed getting smashed by Zach.
Jeff, your number 7.
My number 7 is the Arkham Horror living card game.
Nice.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
But I like LCGs, mostly because they're not CCGs.
You like the concept better.
Yeah. The co-op part of it is super good. I think you had mentioned Lord of the Rings LCG was kind of their first outing of the co-op version. I like this one a lot better, mostly because I got in on the ground floor.
Yeah. But you don't have to stay current too, which is nice.
Yeah, you just can you're bulking up on scenarios and things like that. Where like more missions. I really like how you level up in the game. I like that it's cooperative. I like it can go to 2 to 4 player. The number of base sets you need to do that, however, can go up to like 4 base sets, which is kind of crazy. The Mythos packs are still kind of hard to find here and there because I think it got a lot bigger than they thought it was going to be. But I really want to play that game more. It's just kind of sometimes hard to get to the table, but I think, especially with people that don't own the game, to be like, hey, play with me. Here's a deck, and that can kind of be hard to do because, like, what if they want to play the same color as you? And it's like, oh, I just need to break out, 3rd and 4th base sets.
Yep.
And then all the expansions and stuff like that. But the options you have to build your decks and stuff is pretty cool, especially like playing the base set a lot and then seeing like what the expansion decks can do. They're really cool. Also, the game is very Arkham Horror-y, and it's brutal and hard and desperate.
Yes.
Which I love in all of those Cthulhu-esque games.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It carried over into the LCG super well.
A lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah.
So
it is definitely my second favorite Cthulhu game behind Mansions of Madness.
I would agree with that.
I almost had Mansions of Madness on there, and I was like, oh, Arkham.
Third. Third favorite, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Eldritch.
Yeah.
It's my second. And I remember this is one of those games so we reviewed this right around the time I was just kind of getting to hang out and get to know Edward up at Heavy Cardboard. And I was up there I think it was the weekend after we released our episode. And I was talking to Edward, and he was like, hey, I've been listening to your show, really like it, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you guys do a great job. He's like, even if you do cover games like, Arkham Horror, the LCGs, that's just so not for me. He's like, I don't know how you do that. And really, we talked about this in a fairly recent episode. I mentioned I kind of still I actually enjoyed it. It's got a good enough story. It gets rid of a lot of the dicey bullshit that really annoys me about Eldritch and Arkham Horror. I enjoyed Netrunner the little bit that I played, but there's no way I was going to dive into that whole mess. I'm not ever going to own or play LCGs, CCGs, any of those kinds of things. The closest I'll come is Imperial Settlers, but I still really like playing it. And yeah, Jeff, if you ever need somebody else to play, and
let me know.
Let me know.
Got in first
because I'll play whatever color you're not playing. I'll pick one of the ones you're not playing, so you don't have to have your 3rd and 4th base set.
Yeah, every character plays so unique that it's you can play the same scenario, but as a different person, and the way you have to go around doing stuff is totally different.
Also, that the stories branch too.
And you have different decisions you can make.
Yeah.
No, it's a good game.
It's a good game.
I like that. Shut Up and Sit Down did a re-review of it after basically the first cycle is over.
I think they did that recently.
Yeah. And then they're like, it's still really good and a lot deeper, but also really weird. That sounds right.
The only problem I have is it's still hard to find some of those missing Mythos packs that I need.
Yeah.
Some of the early ones that I think might be hitting reprints.
Gotcha.
Tried to find them at the Fantasy Flight booth, but they were like, no, Mr. Superman, no here.
Yeah. You should have checked when it was a 2-hour wait, Jeff.
Oh, yes.
Correct.
Yeah. But they did have the new the new deluxe set there, but I was like, I don't have any of the other Mythos packs. Do I really need that new deluxe set right now?
I mean,
Yeah.
So my number 7 is Race for the Galaxy. So this is the other one that falls into that same area of Imperial Settlers, where it could be kind of a bear to teach new people because there's so much weird iconography,
kind of,
and text. It's a pain in the ass to teach.
There
new
you
players.
go.
Yeah.
I've gotten good at it because it is a game that I like well enough that I'm willing to teach new players, and it's really one where when it clicks hard. But it is just it's one of my favorite 2-player games. Megan and I can bust out a game of Race to the Galaxy in 20 to 30 minutes. When you have 2 or 3 people who know what they're doing, this game, it flies. It moves real quick. And I really like the shift in strategy from when you're first learning the game and you're just trying to decide, what should I do? What's the best thing for me? But then once you get to the next level where you look at what your opponents are doing, you're like, I bet Jeff's going to play a settle card, and I bet Zach's going to play an explore card, and I want to do both of those things. But if they're going to do them, I can do them as well, so I can do these other 2 things I want to do, and now I'm doing 4 things in a turn that I want to do, and that's awesome. And I just love the way those kinds of things can chain and compound off each other. I love the way that as you build, like every time you play, it feels like things build a little different. There's some games where I'm super development heavy. Sometimes I'm planet heavy, resource conversion into points. Sometimes I just max out a tableau with high level cards. It's awesome. I love it. Ton of fun. So that's my number 7.
I still, I get, you could still say that I like the game, but I don't see myself ever playing it again. That's just because it got supplanted by another game. So.
I like the app. It goes fast. No
actually
shuffling. There's an official app now.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah, the app's real good.
Yeah. And I like how Jump Drive came out to kind of help with the learning portion.
Right.
Yeah, after playing Jump Drive a few times, I still think I'd rather, like, if it's a bunch of new people, like if it's me and like 3 new people, yeah, I'm going to go for Jump Drive because I don't want to sit there and try and like struggle 3 people through a game of Race. But if it's just one new person, I'm going to struggle. Like I'm going to work them through a game of Race.
Yeah.
Just, I'm throwing you in the deep end, sink or swim. Like there's no...
They're not winning the first game.
Yeah.
No.
I'm going to throw you into the deep end. Now hold this 50 pounds of iconography and swim. Go for it.
Yeah, but then once they learn to surface with that 50 pounds of iconography, they're going to be a real good swimmer. So
their leg muscles are going to be fucking ripped.
Yeah.
They never skip leg day now.
Yeah, so that's my number 7. My number 6, and this is where we get into the good stuff for my...
So apparently the other stuff was
top
shit.
10.
That's what I'm hearing.
No,
Okay.
this is
The garbage of the list is over.
Yep, apparently.
No, this is.
I mean, don't refer to things as good if after other things, because then you're by definition you're saying the other things weren't good.
This is like the really good. Like, so the other stuff's good. This is the great stuff. This is the stuff I'm like. I don't know.
These were your easy locks? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So basically, when I did my list,
Just say that.
I even
save yourself a lot of shit.
I even messaged you guys, and I was like, I have a clear number 1, and then I have like a 2 through 6, and then I have 7 through 15. And so now we're getting into the stuff that was clearly like now that we're in the top 6, these are clearly my top 6, and there's no doubt. The other ones, like they could conceivably, there's other things that are really close to supplanting. But anyway, without further ado, my number 6 is my first ever Vital Lacerda game that I ever played, The Gallerist. Vital Lacerda is probably one of my top 3 he's one of my top 3 designers, arguably at any given time, maybe my number 1. I really like his games, especially the ones that he's been doing with Eagle Griffin Games and Ian O'Toole's artwork, because that combination of the awesome production from Eagle Griffin, the awesome art from Ian, and the awesome game from Vital just hits everything that I want in a game. And that's what The Gallerist was for me. It was one of my first really heavy games that I owned, like true heavy games. And I love it. The artwork on the board, the interaction of the mechanics, it's so incredibly simple. You have your 4 actions that you can take, and then depending on which of those 4, you can do one of 2 things. And with that limited amount of choices, you can do vastly different things and have incredibly tense and in-depth decisions. I love it. It blew my mind. It was my intro to Vital. The Gallerist is fantastic. Easily made it into this top portion of my list.
Not surprised.
I think it's the only Vital game I've played so far
Yeah.
of your collection.
That seems all right.
But I liked it. I like Gallerist.
Yeah, I could easily see, and I guess this is a good point to mention it. They're not on the list. Lisboa and Vinos are ones that were really close. I've played them both, and I love them both, but I haven't played them enough or consistently enough to feel comfortable putting them on this list. But yeah, I mean, I've played Gallerist a bunch. We reviewed it. It was for a long time one of our top downloaded episodes.
Yeah.
And
every time, whenever it wasn't that, we were just. I
wrote it in for a
especially.
long time when it made top downloads, and then once it fell,
I was like, yeah. Especially the fucking Yokohama. I was like, yeah, suck it.
yeah, it still fell to an awesome worker placement Euro
but
game.
one that
I'm
I
okay
actually
with
liked.
it. Yeah.
I will agree that awesome art by the artist. Really good production value, except after those meeples.
Yeah.
Leper meeples.
Yeah, airplane meeples. Yeah. But it just didn't catch me. The theme itself, I appreciated the theme, but I didn't like the theme, and it just didn't have enough, negative interaction for a worker placement game for me, if that sort of makes sense. So
All I can do is like ticket dudes out of their
Yeah, it's
lobby and
yeah. So
Right. Zach, what was your number 6?
my number 6 is Legendary Encounters Alien, and that one is also my favorite deck building game. So this is probably one of my first forays into like the more thematic deck builders, and it's definitely the one that stuck the best. I really like the Legendary Encounters system compared to regular legendary. I really like my hands down favorite thing is that all of the bad guy cards that come out are face down, and you actually have to look at the cards. You have to spend attack that you would use to fight them to actually look to see what's coming up. And some cards are you'll get extra fucked if they come into the combat zone without you finding them. So it's really good balance in there, and I really like that you have cooperative cards that you can help your teammates, but you still get to draw cards so it doesn't negatively affect you as much. So it'd be like, oh, Jeff, do you need this extra money so you can get this extra sweet card? Or, or Adrian, do you need to use this extra attack to be able to kill that thing? I like how brutal it is. My win ratio is definitely under 50% on these games. This one and Predator
They're hard.
Very hard, yeah. Now, it has a lot of extra things that I don't use. I don't use the secret agendas. You don't even know what they are, because I've never used them, and it's basically
I've owned and taught this game. I didn't realize.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, it can be like a hidden trader sort of thing. Like somebody's working for the company, and they want to be the last person alive, and then they basically be like, "Hey, company, everybody else is dead. Now just come get me." And if they survive, then they win. But it can get revealed, and it can give you an extra card too. But it adds extra shit to the game that I don't think it needs. I've stopped playing with the alien player, or specifically when someone gets chest bursted, they turn into an alien. I stopped doing that because it's just too punishing. Every time it happened, everyone just pretty much immediately died after that. But still, I love playing all the different movies. I really love all the cards. I really like these sweet combinations you can get with these cards. And I like how everybody has to focus on certain things. And it really feels like a collaborative game. It doesn't feel like you're just sort of doing your own thing. It's just like, oh, you should focus on these. Do you have this here? So you can try and plan for moves ahead and stuff like that. So I really like it.
Still need to play Alien vs. Predator.
Yeah.
Combo.
I need to fucking play the second part of Predator.
Right.
And then I can get into actual the Predators.
Like
Predator 2.
You've never played Predator 2?
No.
I haven't either. I've only ever played the first Predator.
After 6 tries, I finally beat Predator 1.
Okay.
Yeah, Predator's real hard. But Legendary Encounter Alien was on my, so when I was trying to do this list, my number 1 was easy. And then I had a couple others that I knew were going to be somewhere on there, but when I was trying to put everything together, I just started making a list of games that I really liked, loved, and, thought could be on there. And Legendary Encounter Alien was one of them. Ultimately didn't make the list, and it's not one of my honorable mentions. But it was in that running. If I listed out that 7 through 15, it's in there. It's a great game. It's easily one of my favorite of that kind of deck builder. That style of deck builder. I don't really know what
section. I like the trench style versus versus Dominion stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely love it. It's a great game, and it's another one where the theme does so much to help. And that's one of the things I really liked. You guys sat down did that interview with Scott from Upper Deck, and he talked about how they first tried to make that a legendary game, and it just wasn't working. And they're like, what if you flip the cards upside down? And all of a sudden, holy shit, that changes everything. It makes that game, and thus Legendary Encounters was born.
Yep.
And that I've not really ever enjoyed many of the legendary games, but man, I love the Legendary Encounter games.
Just get matte black sleeves for that, and it does wonders.
Oh yeah. Right on. Jeff, what is your number 6?
My number 6 is Star Wars Rebellion.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah. Star Wars Rebellion, still fantastic. I'm excited to try that expansion. I still don't own the game. It has been in my hands on multiple occasions last year at Gen Con to be like, oh, it's only $65. And then everyone's like, at least 2 other people that play that game that you probably won't play without them anyways. So there's no reason to own and have 3 copies in the gaming group. Yeah. I still want to own Star Wars Rebellion, but I've been talked out of it multiple occasions.
Which is probably for the best because it's going to continue to go to. You'll be able to eventually find one that's at a truly irresistible price.
Yeah.
And if you really wanted to play with somebody who's not one of the two people who own it, it's not like anybody you would be playing with isn't also friends with one of those two people to where we couldn't borrow it.
I hoard my games.
Like we could borrow it from Ant.
I require
and
blood
play.
packs.
Yeah.
Zach can go to hell. But no, I'm a little bit surprised that it's all the way down at 6, which has me really interested in what your top 5 are.
Yeah.
But I agree, Star Wars Rebellion, it's a fantastic game. We talked about it. We did like a whole entire episode around it because there's just so much of the gameplay and again the theme. It falls right in that thing we've been talking about with a couple of these. Like the theme nails it, and the mechanics work with the theme. There's some areas that could be better. Maybe the combat a little different.
And I've heard some slightly disappointing things about the expansion where there's like new combat stuff in the expansion, but you have to cut out a lot of the original stuff to play with the expansion.
It's exclusive in that way. Because,
Yeah.
Because it's stuff about it's Rogue One based.
Oh,
so.
yeah. I guess that makes sense.
It's not really expanding the base game as making like a new
scenario or something like that.
Which is kind of disappointing, but we'll see when it hits. But Star Wars Rebellion, each time I've played it, it's always been like you blink and it's like 6 hours later, and I had no idea that much time passed.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
It's probably the most writing I've done playing the Imperial side, like just to track like probes and shit and planets that I've seen and not seen, and just having to try and keep track of that. I want an app that lets me know like what planets I've looked in the probe deck. That's all I want. It's real good.
Yes,
I love it.
I didn't have that issue. Like I was able to keep track well enough when I played the Empire, and it wasn't a problem.
Well, you didn't play against Zach.
This is true. I haven't played Zach. I've only played
Move that
Ant.
shit like 4 times.
It did.
I'm pretty sure Ant is still undefeated.
Oh, yeah.
One
Yes,
of us
he is.
has to beat Ant.
Well, it also doesn't help that like I want to say at least 70 or 80% of the times he's played it has been with new people each time.
Yeah, so it's getting worse and worse. Like every time he plays with a new person, it's increasingly unfair.
Yep.
But yeah, it is a fantastic game. I agree. It also takes up a huge amount of the table.
It does.
It's a big game.
But like I could play also War of the Ring with him. Like, but which one am I going to play?
We're just gonna have to start doing both. Dedicate an entire day, play both sides of Rebellion, and then play both sides of War of the Ring. And there's like 14 hours, and it'll just be gone. You won't
Just
even
boom.
recognize it.
Gone.
You'll just be
Your
like,
mind will also be gone. 'Cause you will, that last game, both of you will just be like,
Strategy.
Realistically, you'll wake up the next morning, like face down on the board with a drool stain. Like, wait, where were we? What's going on?
Just a Death Star stuck to the side of my face. Star Wars Rebellion.
Really good game.
Fantastic.
yes.
All right, Jeff, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is A Twilight Struggle.
Ooh.
I played this for the first time with Adrian before a UFC fight last year.
That was really good. You damn near beat me, which, considering you were new and I wasn't.
I had never played the game before. I'd always heard about it. I knew about it from Board Game Geek being like number 1 forever.
Until Pandemic Legacy.
Yeah. And it was definitely a game that was up my alley. I just never got around to playing it. And we finally broke it out. And as Soviets, as someone that had never played the game before, I got to 17 points before it went all downhill into, I think you won at like 10 points or 9 points or something like that.
Yeah. No, I think I ended up winning on 10 points because, like, if you max out, you win.
Yeah.
I think that's where No.
The game ended.
Yeah, the
we
game
went
actually,
all we went all the way to
which
the
I
end.
never had happen before.
I've never seen that happen either.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that you got you were 17 points like still in the first era or maybe early in the second.
Yeah.
Which that's right where that shift happens.
A lot of that game is knowing the cards, and as someone that knew 0 of the cards, I think I did pretty well.
No, you did very well. It was definitely one of those where like I was playing and I'd played a few times and I kind of knew some of the cards that were coming and things like that, and I knew the general flow of the game, and it was one of those is like I know I just have to, like, I'm in America, I just have to outlast Russia through the first and most of the second era, and then it shifts my way. And it was like, oh God.
I think I had even taken Eastern and Western Germany.
You had both sides of Germany. You had most of Europe. And I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. I was able to, thanks to only due to experience, was the only way I was able to weather that. Like, if you had had a little bit more experience, I would not have won.
Yeah.
You were in a really good position.
But after that, I ended up picking up the PC version and got destroyed by the AI a couple dozen more times. But definitely one of my favorite asymmetrical games, probably one of the best.
It does a great job at the asymmetricalness.
Yeah. There's so much to that game. It's really, really, I don't know, daunting to play that game, but
it's also one of the games that it's not that complex just from like the rule set. It's just the interactions with all the cards and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
let's literally put out every country in the world.
Yep.
And then put numbers on all of them, and then good luck.
That represent how far they are and what influence. One of the things that I love about this game, and in fact, it's probably my favorite thing about this game, honestly, and this goes for a lot of other games and these kind of things, like the Coin series, Fire in the Lake, which covers the Vietnam War, does a very similar thing for me. But as you play this game, and as you're playing these cards that are geared towards Russia or America and have these different effects, and you play, like as America, you play a card that's, remove also, it's like some, coup in this country, remove all Soviet influence, and flip it to America's influence. And then you're reading the card, and it has a little bit of flavor text. And then the rule book has a whole big dense section where it goes over every single event card in the deck and talks about the real world situations. And it's one of those things that makes you realize, for a good chunk of recent history, the U.S. and Russia have just meddled in the entire fucking world in this stupid little power play between these two superpowers.
Yep, pretty much.
Like the Cold War from the 60s through the 80s was just batshit in how much stupid
proxy shit was happening.
Proxy wars, overthrowing governments. The good guy America, democratic, whatever, overthrowing democratically elected governments because they were too friendly with the Russians. And that's the thing that I really like about a lot of those kind of games is they don't shy away from really kind of this is what happened. Yeah. It was fucked up. And I appreciate that.
It's also a game that it rewards multiple playthroughs because then you will start to learn. It's like if you're the Soviet person, it's like don't put stuff in Japan because they have the cards. It's like and Japan's mine now.
Yeah, and vice versa. As America's, you're like, yeah, I don't want to invest in Cuba. Cuba's going to end up Russian.
Yep. All in on Cuba. I have 12 influence there. Fuck.
Yeah. Like the Romanian abdication. Just remove all Western influence.
De Gaulle elected in France.
Yep.
But it's really interesting. I'm not a huge history nerd, but I'm enough of a history nerd that it's cool also seeing how those things all interacted and how much we live in a global world. We're all connected and things that happen in third world countries affect things that happen in other countries, and it all works. And this game does a great job of tying that all together into a really good game.
Fantastic game.
Yeah, love Twilight Struggle.
It's a good game, yeah.
It was very close to making my list. So,
another 2-player asymmetrical game on my list.
Shocking. Is that 3 right now?
That is 3, right?
That'd be 4 if, I guess Seven Wonders Duel is not really asymmetrical.
No, yeah.
No.
It is 3.
All right, so my number 5 is another one. So this one is actually one that's it's new to me since our last list. And this is Brass. I first kind of got exposed to this game through Heavy Cardboard. And not kind of, it was through Heavy Cardboard. Roxley Games announced that they were doing a reprint of Brass. And then they were also doing, along with the Kickstarter for that, a slightly different version. So they renamed it from just Brass. Now there's Brass Lancashire and Brass
Birmingham?
Birmingham.
Yeah.
Yes. And
the Lancashire is the original one,
yes.
right? Okay.
Lancashire.
So that's the one you're talking about right now, and just in the sense of
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So as Heavy Cardboard was gearing up for all this, and this was right when they started doing their streaming stuff, and they were really getting their feet wet with this, and so they invited me on to do a stream of the original Brass, Martin Wallace classic game, and I played it, and holy shit, I loved it. The original Brass was great. But I really enjoyed it, and then we turned around, and a couple weeks later, they had me on for a live stream of the Roxley Games edition of Brass Lancashire, and playing them both back-to-back like that. Yeah, the new edition's fantastic. It confirmed my decision to back it. I backed at the full pledge level, so I'm getting both Lancashire and Birmingham. And this is where, it technically makes my list, because I have paid for and am going to get a copy. I don't have it yet, but I really liked it. It has a lot of kind of, I don't want to say unique mechanics, but just the way they all interact and work in that game is kind of unique to itself. And it's one it's an older game that has stood the test of time and still comes out feeling fresh and awesome. And I just like a lot of the interactions it has. So, yeah, Martin Wallace's Brass is my number 5.
I have not played it yet.
Nor have I.
Don't worry. When I get my Kickstarter, that is going to be a, Adrian heavy game veto. We are playing this.
Veto as in it's not going to happen. Okay.
Nope. All right. Just cut that out.
Yep.
Heavy game override. I'm going to throw it on the table and just be like, boom, this is happening.
I don't know. Vote. Does Adrian get an override? No?
No.
All right. Well, Adrian doesn't get an override.
One of these days, I'm just going to change all the passwords and run away to Puerto Rico or something.
And
Not Portugal?
Probably Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal.
Realistically,
There you
Portugal.
Go start your own podcast with Vital.
Portugal or Germany, yes. I'll go and start one with Vital, Nuno, and Paulo.
Yep.
And it'll be in Portuguese, and I will have no idea what anybody else is talking about. It's going to be great.
It'd be fantastic.
Anyway, Zach, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Eldritch Horror. This is also my favorite cooperative game.
I appreciate that your list worked out this way.
Yeah, and it is actually building up because it's let's see. Well, it'll make more sense later. But
Cool.
yeah,
Good story.
yes,
So, Zach, your number 5 is Eldritch Horror.
yes, it is. This is my favorite of the Cthulhu mythos. Second one, Mansions of Madness. That one is actually an honorable mention too. Mm-hmm. But I've had so many more plays on this one. I really like just how fucked you can get in the game. Mm-hmm. What I'd like in a good co-op is a punishing game, and this one has it in spades.
Yes. Fight this giant monster, and also let's take all of your weapons away.
Yes.
And
remember
good
that
luck.
awesome thing you started with? Well, here's this card that says nobody gets it anything anymore. Just discard one of everything.
Yep.
But I have one of everything. Well, you just lose everything then. Son of a bitch. And I really like all the different little adventures of you're just like, oh, you went to this you went to this museum and you see something there. Roll to see if you touch it. You touch it. Oh, you got poisoned. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Like, son of a bitch.
You shouldn't have touched that.
You shouldn't have touched that. But I really like all the different old gods, and I also especially love just how many expansions and different ways to play with it now.
It's a ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. I have 2 boxes full of shit, and the next big box that it might have to move into 3 boxes full of shit. It's just it's another longer thematic style game where you can just get into it. I just love all these little stories that happen into this game. Like one of the ones we were playing, I was a scrappy orphan. The first thing I did was try and sneak past some cultists.
You were supposed to be super good at.
They saw me and they just beat me to death. First thing I did.
First thing.
And I was just like, well, that didn't turn out well. I remember another one where I was Lily Chen, who's supposed to, and she basically had like this destiny, like in her backstory and stuff. And so I spent a lot of turns training up. I got really skilled, went to go fight something. It's like, yeah, it's time to fulfill my destiny. Just immediately got killed.
Just immediately murdered.
Sounds about right.
A lot of funny things in this game happen when you are murdered is what. Mm-hmm. But I love how different it feels with each of the different old ones. I love how I'm pretty sure it's like 60 different characters now, how they all feel very differently or feel very different compared to, like a spellcaster feels a lot different than a melee brawler and stuff like that.
Yes.
And every time, I think the reason this is so quote unquote low on my list is just, I just can't get enough time. I just can't find the time to play this as much as I would want with as opposed to other games.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. I buy better dice is all I say.
Yes. We just did a review of this
yeah.
game, so go ahead and listen to that if you want a little bit more in-depth thoughts of this. I definitely agree that this seems like it's a game where everything sucks and then you die, and that's the best part of the game.
Yep. It's all the adventure of sucking.
Yeah, things go terribly awry, and the story is what makes it.
Yep.
So, Zach, you're number 4.
You guys already did your number 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I ended that one or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
I went through and marked all the numbers. So.
All right, cool. So my number 4 is Terraforming Mars.
I guess we'll talk about that one later.
We will talk about that one later.
I'll just mention that is my favorite engine building game.
Okay. Jeff, you're number 4.
So my number 4 is Gloomhaven. And no one else has that on their list, so we will continue to talk about Gloomhaven.
I've only played once, so...
Yeah. I think I've played every game with Zach.
Yep.
But Still have not played enough. We blew Paul's mind last time we played. We were like, yeah, there's 97 scenarios in here. And I don't know, we might only see half of them.
Yeah.
We're super evil. So I think a lot of them go good side that you're not going to see them.
I mean, there's a certain expectation with the murder hobos.
Yeah. That's our party name.
Yep.
Which you
came up with it because you were not because
I wasn't a fan of being. I was like, I don't want to be a bunch of murder hobos.
And we're like,
oh, we're the murder hobos.
Murder hobos. Just write that down on the paper.
And then that was the last time I played.
Exactly. Well, it's nice we don't have your character to bum us out by not wanting to do evil shit.
Yeah. I really like dungeon crawler type stuff. Star Wars Imperial Assault, Hero Realms, Mansions of Madness to a certain extent, Descent. I love all those kind of games, and I think Gloomhaven is kind of the pinnacle of any of those. There's no overlord to it, really. It's just kind of you running against the scenario. It's 4-player co-op.
Fucking hard.
Brutal most of the time.
or easy.
Or easy.
Those are your two choices.
Yeah. We're playing on... there's just so much to the game. Like, difficulty options. You start on with only 6 classes, and then you have, like, this adventurer's journal that you fill out to unlock other classes. Just an incredible amount of content jammed into the box.
Oh, yeah.
That you could pick up this game and be playing it for years and years and years and still not see everything. The only downside is it's kind of hard to play with more than one group out of the same box without getting those like vinyl map stickers or like a second map or stuff like that. It comes with plenty of extra player sheets for characters and parties, so you can kind of do that, but you can spoil the overworld map a little bit, but it's so cool. Like, you get achievements and banners and like, oh, we did this step and now this shit is happening, and that can be totally different depending on what choices you make.
Oh, yeah.
We're still like a handful of scenarios in, but
the last one, I won't say what it was, but it was just like, oh, here are your options now. And we're like, oh shit, yeah, I'm into what's happening right now. But I think one of my favorite things about this game is the combat. How they it's diceless combat, and it's built in such a way that I don't miss that it's diceless combat or anything like that. It's very strategic in how you're fighting, but there's still chance, which is great.
You have a deck of cards that are all your abilities, but it's also your like life. But you also have life.
Yes.
How long you can stick in the scenario is like your ability cards, and then you can also take like hit point damage to take you out.
It was like Pathfinder, the adventure card game, where your deck is your life, and so, well, to an extent,
yeah,
not in the exact same way, but it was a countdown to until you're unable to play anymore. So.
And I think everyone makes that first mistake of like, oh, just burn cards and be like, oh shit, we're only like 25% of the way through the scenario, and I got 5 cards. I got 2 turns left, and just the epic amount of tokens and tiles and standees and monsters and conditions, and it's probably the most epic game I've ever seen in scale outside of, I don't know, War for North Africa.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
Campaign for North Africa. I am super salty about, obviously, as I've mentioned multiple times, I'm apparently not really in the group anymore for playing Gloomhaven.
I mean, you are.
Replaced. I don't know. Ant and Paul made it sound like I was straight up replaced.
Well,
I'm now the alternate in case somebody from the regular group can't make it.
They're a-holes.
But I thought I was in. I thought like Jeff had a copy. We were all like, I didn't think I needed one. So when I won a copy, I donated it to a giveaway, which Trey, we are sending you. It is coming.
We were just waiting to get done with the Gloomhaven emails. Now we can send it out.
Yeah.
Well, and Gen Con and yeah. But it is coming. But now I'm like, well, I'm not getting to play nearly as much as I wanted to compared to everybody else. I wish I hadn't given away the copy I won because I could have started a different group.
Just buy another one.
Yes, I'll just go out and buy a copy of Gloomhaven because it's on shelves right now for everyone to buy.
Just be
we have a contact.
Yes.
You might need to just be like, hey, dude, I want a copy and I gave it away for the show to promote your game.
But then my friends are assholes and won't let me play his game. So you can...
Hey, Isaac. I'll just get him to send me Founders because I'm actually more excited about Founders.
I'm pretty excited about Founders too. But yeah, Gloomhaven.
I've only played it the one time and it was amazing. I also loved dungeon crawling. I loved the I mean, come on, diceless combat.
I know. I like it. Yeah.
So far, like you can tell that Isaac is a Euro type like gamer who designed this awesome like dungeon crawl and was like, I'm a Euro type gamer. I don't like bullshit randomness. Let's take it out of this game, and made an awesome combat system. It's fantastic. Yeah, Gloomhaven is really cool. I couldn't put it on my list though because I've only played it once.
I mean, yeah, and you don't own it.
And I don't own it.
Yeah.
And that's the rough criteria for the game.
I just got real lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. My number 4. And so this one, this is the first of 2 that are by Splotter. And it is Indonesia.
I'm surprised it's that low.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised too. I initially had it penciled in much higher, but then as I started kind of evaluating the list and other games and really thinking things through it, it fell a little bit. It's still very firmly in my top 5. The thing that holds Indonesia back for me, so I love Indonesia. You can listen to our episode on Indonesia. I gush about it. I like
Sploosh.
yes. I like so much about it. I like that even despite a lot of the predetermined like order that things come out on the board, how different every play can feel. I like the heavy player interaction in terms of like shipping and merging companies and just all that interaction. The thing that ultimately kind of knocks it down is twofold. One, it is hard to find the right group of people to play this with consistently. I've been very fortunate in that I've got to do it as a game of the month up at Heavy Cardboard, and then I kind of trump carded it as a review, and so I got you guys to play it a couple times. It is a Splotter that, Zach, you have at least mentioned that you would consider playing again with the right group.
Yeah.
So, like, there's some hope that maybe I'll still occasionally get to play it, but it is so group dependent, especially with all the player interaction. If you don't play with the right group, like, some people really aren't going to like some of the player interaction. Some people get too attached to their stuff, and so merging it away from them will piss them off and ruin the game for them. So there's issues with that. And then, although the static conditions for where things come out, I don't think hurt the game, they certainly don't help it, which ultimately decreased it a little bit. I wish it was a little bit more variable, a little bit more random starting, not necessarily random, variable starting.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like you're saying, this was the Splotter that I was like, okay, I'm not negative against this game. It's definitely one that I could see myself playing, but yeah, I wouldn't do a random version of it. It is in very specific circumstances, I would play it again. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, even though like you would play Indonesia again, and probably not Food Chain, Indonesia is still, I think, harder to find a group for.
Also, isn't it? It's like you could play it at 3 or 4, but you want to play it at 5. So
4 or 5.
Yeah.
I could see playing at 4 or 5. 3, I mean,
you did that once, right?
I had a good time with 3, but like I enjoyed Food Chain at 2 with Paul. There, I would not even there's no reason to play Indonesia at 2. Like, it's listed as a 2-player game, like 2 to 5. Yeah. No. Yeah, so that's my number 4.
All right.
My number 3 is Terraforming Mars, which we'll talk about later.
Indeed.
So, Zach, what's your number 3?
Second mention.
Yep. Yeah. Will there be a third? Find out. My number 3 is Tales of the Arabian Nights, and this is my favorite storytelling game. This is one of those games. So I'll go ahead and give you a sort of a preface. Speed Racer, the movie, is one of my top 5 favorite movies.
Wow.
But I understand anybody who goes, that is a shitty movie. I'm like, I get it. I'm fine.
Yeah?
That is 2.5 hours long.
Was it that long?
Yeah, it is that long.
Jesus.
Had a $150 million budget. The tone was all over the place. I get it 100%, but just for whatever reason, it just sticks with me. And I just enjoy it for what it is.
I love Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
So Tales of the Arabian Night is not really a game. It is more just a storytelling thing where just random shit happens to you, which, from saying earlier with Eldritch Horror, I am perfectly fine with. This is just a game where, it says 2 to 6 players. Never play it with 5 or 6. Barely play it with 4. 3 is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And I basically have house rules for a shitload of stuff in there to make it be like, oh yeah, this fucking card that'll fuck you up, it's only for 3 turns, it's fine. we're just going to play until we have these amount of points, or we'll just play until we are done, whatever. Ignore the cards that say you can't win with these cards and shit like that, because it just gets in the way of just all the storytelling shit. I've had some of the best stories in a game from this game. And have you ever played it yet, Jeff?
Negative.
All right. I'm still going to want to make you play that at some point.
You don't have to make me play it.
Yeah.
We can do it as a review.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't want to be like, you just like, I don't know if I'm going to have all that shit on top of me from you. I don't know if my heart can take it.
So for one, I put up with you shitting on a lot of games I love.
Yeah, but that's because they're shitty games. No, it's fine.
And for two, I think I would actually be way less harsh on it than you think.
Okay, all right. But yeah, this is just it is my favorite game for just sitting down for a couple hours and just this is also, I don't think I would play this with just anybody, but like with my friends, this would be an amazing game to just sit around with some beers and just have crazy fucking ass shit happen.
Yeah. So I've played this, I think, 3 or 4 times.
Did you ever play it when it was 6 players?
Yeah, once.
Oh god.
Tyler's birthday.
Yep.
Tyler's birthday. Mm-hmm. So this is a game, and man, I want to love this game, and I wanted to love. When I first heard about it, I was jazzed. It's like, yeah, this sounds awesome, and I think I even had a decent amount of fun my first time playing. And then I think I played the 6-player game, and I think it killed my spirit a little bit.
Yeah, I get that.
But that's where I say, like, I think I'd be less harsh on it than you think. It's, for me, it falls into the same niche as like a dominant species for you.
You at least know what you're getting into at the very least.
And you need to, like, it's not going to be one I'm going to agree to on the spot. It's not like we're going to get together like, oh, what game are we going to play? Arabian Nights? But nope. Fuck no. Nope. But if you're like, hey, let's play Arabian Nights in like a week. It's like, okay. Like, I'd even go 24 hours notice.
Mm-hmm,
Hey, it's Friday. Like, hey, what if we played like Sunday?
Not Saturday morning.
Not Saturday morning. It's not 24 hours. And it's Friday evening, so already it's too late to play it Saturday evening because that's going to take too long. So Sunday morning, okay, I could be ready by then.
I'll get you Santiago's, and then we'll be...
There we go, yeah. You get me a good breakfast burrito, a good strong Bloody Mary. And as long as, it's 3, maybe 4 players... And again, the right people to where I can just, all right, a bunch of shit's going to happen. It's going to make me really mad, but I'm not going to get mad. Like, I'm not going to let it piss me off when I get turned into a donkey and stuck in prison for 4 turns.
Yeah. Yep.
Donkey prison.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then you get out, and then you're like, oh, God. I'm going to beat that beggar. And they're like, thank you, donkey. Become the fucking leader of this town.
Vizier. You're like, here's all the riches. It's nonsense, but yes, going into it, if I knew what I was expecting, I could play this game. And so yes, I would be fine if we want to do it as a review, or even if you just want to play it once so Jeff can experience it, the 3 of us can play it, and I'll fully get on board. I just need prep time.
Yep. All right.
Emotional prep
and
time.
Strong drinks.
Yes.
Emotional preparation.
Yeah. Jeff, what's your number 3?
This was probably the hardest one for me to, slightly cheat on. Mm-hmm. It was going to be Hero Realms.
Okay.
But after playing with the scenario pack with Star Realms, they kind of come to a tie. So I'm going to say the Realms games.
Okay, I'm fine.
But not Cthulhu Realms.
No.
Hero and Star Realms.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'll allow it, but only because you acknowledge that you're kind of cheating here.
Yeah.
Is it basically, it's like whenever Star Realms add the Hero Realm characters, it's like, oh, Star Realms go up.
Yeah, I
Hero
think
Realms, it adds the scenarios.
But then when the campaign comes up, it's just going to be a constant fight of... I'm fine with that because you're not going to be like number 4 Star Realms, number 3 Hero Realms. You're not going to do that. Yeah.
Every year they just flip depending on which one's better at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of my favorite deck building games. I don't know what the trench style, I guess you'd call it.
But it's super quick too.
Yeah, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, unless it's that 45-minute game that I had because we just kept healing over and over.
Basically, it's like deck building for most games. It's deck building on steroids.
Yes.
Right. It's like I'm gonna buy this 2-cost thing that has fucking 5 attack and lets you draw a card and
ramp is hard.
Yeah.
A lot of synergy with colors and stuff like that. Star Realms, I loved. There was a lot of expansions to it, but nothing really added anything crazy, and it was just like, this is a fantastic game. Then Hero Realms came out with the class decks that changed the whole starter deck.
Yep.
And that's like vital. But now Star Realms is out with the scenario pack where it can like completely change the game. Like put a token on the far left card and put a token on it every turn until someone buys it because it makes it one cheaper. Or trash the card to the far left, or everyone starts with 20 less health or 20 more health, or the first card that you buy every turn, put it on the top of the deck. And that's the kind of variability that I like, that Star Realms needed to kind of catch up to how cool Hero Realms was.
And then it's going to have those character packs at some point. So,
and then when Star Realms Frontiers comes out, there will be the new Commander decks.
Yeah, I think that's what it sounds like,
that will come out, and that'll change up Star Realms again. And Star Realms will probably just shoot right to the top.
Yep.
And then the campaign will come out for Hero Realms, and then that'll be awesome.
Sounds like a struggle, Jeff.
Yes. The struggle of my wallet, really, more than anything.
I really like both those games. They're both really good games. You know, they're another one we just reviewed. I played a whole lot of Star Realms on the app. It's a fantastic app.
It is.
And I would say that those scenarios kind of threw in the variability that those campaign does with just the kind of little tiny change to how the game plays.
And I like, one of the things I really like compared to, say, another trench style one, we were just talking about Legendary Encounters Alien. I really like that one, it's faster. It plays much quicker, and I think some of that is that you don't have to, reveal any bad guy cards, or there's none of that.
Objectives
because it's not a cooperative game like Legendary Encounters is. The other thing that I really like is the synergies in both Star Realms and Hero Realms are much more upfront and like active than they are in like Legendary Encounter, Alien, or Predator, where it's like every once in a while you get to synergize, and in those games it works because it's like, this is a powerful turn and I feel awesome, but then, oh shit, the aliens and predators kick my ass for a couple turns because, holy shit, they're alien and predator, they should. Whereas in this one, it feels like there's constant, like, we're warring and we each have our strengths and they're constantly fighting, and so it goes back and forth, and there's a really good push-pull kind of thing going on when you play.
And it's a short enough lull in that, like, no, I just got 5 scouts this turn, but then it's like, I know I'm going to get all the good shit next turn.
Yep.
I just hope I don't die on the next turn.
Well, and that's what happened when we played that 2-on-2 game of Hero Realms.
That was really
like,
good.
I got a bad turn. It was like, oh god, we're not going to survive one bad hand.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
Yep. One of my favorite things at Gen Con was when you and me and Jeff walked up to White Wizard Games, and it basically felt like you took out your wallet and you just went, all right, what new stuff do you have?
What's new?
Yeah.
What money do you need? Fortunately, the only thing I end up walking out of there this year, Hero Realms deck box and useless dice. And
you're like, what are these dice for? And he's like, yeah, you could use those instead. And
to track your health.
Yeah, and
I was like, how much are they? And they're like $5. I was like, yeah, all right. And then the scenario pack, which was definitely the new hotness of this year until Frontiers comes out and the campaign.
It's never ending.
I already bought the campaign though, so we're fine. We're fine.
All right. Number 2, Jeff. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Blood Bowl. I'll stay quiet for anyone else. Does anyone else have Blood Bowl on
Adrian,
their
are you
list,
sure you don't have Blood Bowl on your number? I could have sworn that was going to be your locked-in number 1.
See, it was, and then I changed it at the last minute, and Blood Bowl fell to like 16. It's just right there outside
only 16th, huh?
Uh-huh. I don't hate Blood Bowl as much as everybody thinks I hate Blood Bowl. I don't love it like you guys do.
Well, when every game you play takes 4.5, 5 hour game.
Yeah.
Paul's championship game that went double overtime took that long.
Yeah. If he played 2 games in that time.
If I could play a 2-hour game of Blood Bowl, I'd probably love it. Anyway, so Blood Bowl. Jeff, it's your number 2, huh?
Yes. It's almost like I've taken a vast majority... Well, not majority. A good chunk of the podcast time to talk about Blood Bowl every week. So
did anybody doubt that Blood Bowl was going to show up?
I love Blood Bowl. It's a 2-player asymmetrical game. Two people with varying teams will fight each other on a pitch and murder each other with various fantasy races with a good amount of luck involved. This is probably the most luck-based game on my list by far. I'm not usually a big luck person, but this game has enough like positioning strategy, team makeup strategy, and you're playing leagues, skills, where you're trying to line up the right things to just try and not get fucked as hard as possible.
But then also push your luck.
Yep.
So yeah.
Like you could be in the best opportunity there is in like a 3-die block and be like skull, skull, skull. Fuck. All right, reroll. Skull, skull, skull. Well, that was my turn.
Yep.
Fucking trounce me. Thanks.
Nuffle was just no.
Yep, Nuffle did not like you at that very moment. But sometimes it can swing the other way. People that have no real reason winning will just fucking destroy.
You're like, all right, I have to do this 2-die uphill. Pow, pow. All right.
Yeah. Would you like the POW or the POW here?
Your choice, sir.
Your choice. Yeah, it's a game that there's I don't know, 20 plus different teams in it now. I think there's some new teams that might be getting added soon or some refreshes on them. They're doing some slight changes in the new edition to like 1 or 2 positions on certain teams that are a little lackluster, kind of trying to polish those turds a little bit. But a lot of them are staying exactly the same. I mean, Games Workshop, polish that turd.
Yep.
League play is definitely where this game shines the most. I mean, your basic game-to-game is cool, but being able to level up your team and see where the casualties come in, who died, like, fuck, it's like my thrower with 15 completions got killed, and now I just have to hire a new one and hope I do better next season.
It's definitely a game that is overwhelming at first. Especially when you're like that first couple turns when you're just trying to play and you're just like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm supposed to do. It's great to have a good teacher when you're learning this game.
Yeah.
But then once you get the hang of it, I think it gets a lot easier, a lot quicker.
Yes.
Because like that first game I played with Ant probably took 3.5, 4 hours.
Yeah.
But that's because a lot of times like you're sitting there and you're just like, okay, you have all of these choices. But then once you realize what are good choices, what are bad choices, that really helps towards that.
Yeah. And then sometimes you just have to make the bad choice and hope the die roll goes your way.
Yep. Yeah. And then or you make a bad choice and it works completely and the other opponent is like, why the fuck did you do that? And you're like, it seemed like a good idea at the time and it worked, so.
Yeah. I guess I'll get a point.
Yep.
Yeah. Blood Bowl. Still obsessed.
Very much so.
It's definitely a good game. I did enjoy doing the tournament, and I would do another one, I think.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Le Havre. So when we'd done our previous top 10, I had not played Le Havre. And so Agricola was I think it might have been my number 1. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
It was because I started with Caverna, and then I was like, Caverna destroys Agricola in every way imaginable. And then you're like, Agricola's my number 1. I really like it.
Yeah. So Agricola was my number 1 last time. Agricola is not on my list now. It is in that 7 to 15 realm where it could potentially creep up, but realistically, like for what I like about Agricola, I like more about Le Havre. I like the resource management, resource conversion, all the action placement, buildings, all of that Le Havre does. I think it does it a little bit better than Agricola. I have played Le Havre at every possible player count except for solo, and I still do want to play it solo, but it's been great at all of them. I like it across the board, and that's not necessarily true for Agricola. And so, yeah, I played with Paul, and it was like, the clouds parted, the sun shone down, angels sung, like, oh. And I still have his printed off player boards because he left them here, and then he left them here, and then he left them here, and then he left them here, and it's like, all right, well, fuck it. After 4 or 5 times of leaving them here, they're now mine, and so they're in my Le Havre. Yeah. But yeah, it's really good. It's my number 2. I love it.
I think it's my second favorite UA game, but that's,
not saying much.
There's
a big gap between 1 and 2.
Yes. But I think this is another one of those games where I could be talked into playing it, but probably not, but there is a chance. I could see myself playing it again at any given day, probably not, but we'll see.
How's your app game go in the van?
It started really rough for me. I got frustrated. And then we kept playing, and then it was pretty close to even, and then we stopped for like dinner or something, and then we never started again. We never finished. So.
Womp
Womp. Assumingly he still has that saved, so maybe we'll finish it sometime.
Yeah.
But
you got to play Le Havre in the back of a van.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was really impressed with how the app worked. Like, it took a little bit of getting used to, like, how the app actually handled some of, like, choosing certain things and what you're doing.
It's like, how do I look at this card? And
It is one of the few apps that I'm legitimately jealous that is only iOS and not Android.
Bummer.
Because, yeah, I do love La Havre, and I would download and play the shit out of it if it was on Android.
Yeah, it's not been updated in a long time either on iOS. Every time I start it up, it's like, this app might not be supported anymore.
Yeah. It seems to still work on his iPad.
Yeah,
So.
it still works on mine too.
Cool. Yeah, so that was my number 2. Zach, your number 2.
My number 2 is Stockpile with Continuing Corruption. This is my favorite economic game. And so this is probably my favorite game to introduce new people to the hobby. It is one of the, let's see, it's definitely within the first 5 stock dealing games. Games dealing with stocks in any way. And I think, what originally drew me to it was the fact that it is about insider trading, which I really
As an
like.
accountant, you're a big fan of insider trading.
Oh, yeah. Unethical, yes, finance related things. Big fan. That and Ponzi scheme.
Yes.
Love both those games.
Yep.
But yeah, that originally drew me in. But then I really liked how how relatively quick the game was for the amount of people you can get into it. But the amount, just every time I played it with people, they always seem to be having fun. For the majority, having fun while doing it.
Yeah.
I really like all the different player powers that feel like apropos to the actual characters that you're playing as. I like all the different variability that you can get in the game, especially the dice that added. I think if Continuing Corruption was only the dice, it would still be a must-have expansion. Because I don't think this game would even be in my top 10 if it wasn't for the expansion. Because it just added so much just from the dice. It added bonds, which are easier thing or more stable things to buy, but you don't get that much from them. There's even more taxes and commodities that I haven't even played with that I really want to play. That just it can make the game a lot easier if you're playing with newer people, a lot heavier if you're playing with more experienced players.
The money's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Money tokens?
The money tokens is great. It's little plastic things that work really well. I like how quick the game can be and how easy it is to explain the game.
Fuck the basic side of the board.
Yes, fuck the basic side. Yeah,
Yep.
Always play with the advanced side, and it has my favorite. It has my favorite auction style, and that one somebody's going to be paying nothing for their stuff, and it's usually whatever the shittiest thing is, ideally. But then also, I love that it has a cap of 25,000, so you can literally be like, there's one good pile, all the other piles are shit. I'm going to just bid 25,000. I've got that one. You guys have fun dealing with the other shit.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Plebeians.
Yeah. And that it goes from, 0 to 1 to 3 to 6 to 10. So it's like, oh, if I can bid 3 on this one, I might be able to do 6, but I can't do 10. So I should probably do 6, maybe to hope that Jeff will bid 10 for it. That sort of bluffing you can do with auctioning and stuff like that and bidding.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just, I really like this.
Yeah, so I mentioned at the beginning during the kind of honorable mention phase that Stockpile was one of the ones that could have easily made this list. Ultimately, one of the things that kind of kept it away, it would have fallen in that 10 to 7 realm, but I don't own it, and so I let it go. And that also only makes it with the Continuing Corruption expansion. If nothing else, the dice for the forecast makes all the difference. That is one of the few times I can think of a pure random element makes the game better.
Well, it's because it's that input randomness that you're talking about, where it's like, oh well, we have these now. I know that out of the 6 players, all of us are going to have one of these, but each time it's going to be different. So it's like, oh, this is a fucking huge dividend round, or almost 3/4 of them or 2/3 of them are all negative. Shit's going down, or it's really positive and stuff like that. So.
Usually in games, though, even although I prefer input randomness to output randomness, some of my favorite games are games that have almost no randomness.
Yeah.
They might have some variability at the start, but otherwise almost no randomness. And this is one that just the way they handle that input randomness, and then like you said, you get to see and just the variability of well, this is going to be a crummy round. All the stocks are not going to do well. How can I minimize my losses?
Yeah.
And then, this is a freaking awesome roll. We're all going to do great. Like, I just need to do better than everyone else. And that it just works for what that game is. And how, like, it's another one, it fits the theme. Like, that insider trading, like, just knowing, like, yep, it's going to be a bad year for the stocks. We gotta cut our losses. And then, like, oh, shit, we're all about to make some money because we're doing illegal things.
It also helps when you play the game correctly.
Yes.
So.
Yes, very much
Where's
so.
the insider trading part of this? I don't understand.
Yeah, sorry about that, Mike.
It just means you can come up and play it the right way.
Correct.
My favorite part of the game is when the correct selling phase
Yes.
starts, and you just see someone start to dump, but they started dumping after you went, and you're like, fuck.
Yes. Oh yeah. The turnover became so important when that happened because one of the characters is you can sell and then you can sell again. Mm-hmm. And so before I was just like, what's the point of doing this? And now I'm like, now it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. And then
they know something I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can always take those signals of selling as like maybe worse than what they actually are.
Exactly, because if it's like, oh, they sold one Epic Electric, oh, I need to dump all of mine, but really they're like, I'm going to sell, like they have 4, and they're like, I'm going to sell one, and I know this is going up, but I want to see if anybody else is going to sell them.
Yeah.
And then they sell them, you're like, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Stockpile is real good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great game.
Don't play it enough. Like a lot of these games.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that was your number 2.
Yep.
So, Zach, what is your number 1?
I don't know. You have any guesses? What haven't I named?
Is it Splendor?
No. No. I'll give you a hint. It was my number 1 last time.
Twilight Imperium.
Twilight Imperium 3rd edition.
3rd edition.
Yes. The only way to be supplanted is if I decide to replace it with 4th edition.
Which seems like it probably will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This I have listed as best game. This is definitely the most epic game I've ever played. And it is just a congregation of like some of my favorite things in games. It's, the variable player powers, the variable turn order, how you like all the different the upgrades you can do, so the technologies. There's politics in there, backstabbing,
Resource management,
area control, combat, and then it takes forever to play, but every time is just
completely different.
And this would be fighting with Pandemic Legacy for favorite gaming experiences. Mm-hmm. Only one time has there been a time where I'm just like, okay, this was a bad experience, and that's when Tyler kicked us out of his house.
Yeah. And that wasn't the game's
That wasn't
fault.
the game's fault.
That was a shitty person's fault.
Yes. But yeah, this is it is the most epic game, and just every time it's just amazing. I just love the experience. Like I said, the experiences every time, and so
Yeah.
go to the review to find more about it. But
So Jeff, this isn't on your list, I assume.
No.
Especially because
TI3
I already know what's on. I know what's your number 1.
TI3 fell off the list.
Yeah. And it did for me as well. I actually made a note. So it's one of those ones where I was like, I had these broken into categories. So TI3 is the only one that's in its own category. And then here's what I said. TI3 not on here because I doubt I'll play it ever again. Because of TI4.
Yes.
And I haven't tried TI4 yet, so I can't comfortably put it in my top 10. But if TI4 gives me the same feel and everything streamlined, it could easily jump back into my top 10.
Okay. So I guess, yes, that caveat of mine is as soon as I play TI4, assuming that it's the same, I get the same feel, just it's going to replace it.
Yeah.
Really, it's just that it's not 2 Saturdays from now when we're playing it.
TI3 was, for me, kind of like what you were talking about with Pandemic Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game that I loved. I've had just a ton of fun with it, but I couldn't find a place for it currently, especially considering from what I know of TI4, I think it's going to be great, and I do not anticipate ever playing TI3 again.
Yeah.
I just don't. And so if I'm not ever going to play it again, it can't be one of my top 10 games. So that was why it stayed off my list.
All right. Just go ahead and put for mine when we write it on here, TI3/TI4 probably.
Okay.
Okay.
So that brings it to you, I believe, Jeff, for your number 1.
What's yours number 1 though? Because mine's going to be a while. Because all 3 of us have to talk about mine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yep.
Yeah. I know how much you want to be the last one, but I vote Jeff goes last.
Yeah.
Stupid. Stupid. Yes. Mine should come as a surprise. I mentioned that Indonesia was the first of the Splotters to appear on this list, and I haven't mentioned another Splotter, and I've only played 2 Splotters. So it's Food Chain Magnate. I got to play it again recently at Gen Con, and that
just keeps reaffirming.
Yeah, and that one, like I had suspected, because I hadn't played Food Chain in a while. I played Food Chain a bunch, I loved it, and then I played Indonesia a whole bunch, and I loved it. But even after, like, as I'd played Indonesia more and more and more, I was like, I still think I might prefer Food Chain Magnate over Indonesia. And when I played Food Chain again at Gen Con, that was confirmed. Food Chain just is everything I ever thought a board game could possibly be for me. It's complex interaction between players. You got to read each other. You got to understand what the other person's going for. Reading, like, the importance of just knowing, like, are they going to play a waitress? Are they going to play a price cut? Like, what are they going to do this turn? I like that, similar to Indonesia, the first few rounds are pretty scripted, but whereas in Indonesia, each era things come out and start the same. In Food Chain, after those first, like, 2 or 3 rounds, it's never the same. Like, they go in vastly different directions. The random layout of the board, and then the way people choose to build their companies outside of those first few kind of almost scripted turns. They're not quite scripted. It's not like everybody always does the exact same thing. There's like 2 or 3 good starting moves, and then those kind of carry on for 3 or 4 moves, and then that's where it opens up. But yeah, it is so good. Holy shit. I can't say enough about Food Chain. It was another one that for a long time was one of our better performing episodes, which made me really happy. It's a great game. I love it a whole lot, and I'm excited that I was just in a Twitter exchange the other day with one of our listeners. I think it might have been Tom. He was talking about that he was thinking about picking it up for the exorbitant prices it's going for, and I tweeted and tagged Jorun from Splotter, one of the 2 guys from Splotter, about it, that, you know, it'd probably be a couple more years before it came out. And he's like, actually, early next year. So for those of you who are waiting for Food Chain to be back in stock and be a reasonable price, early next year should hopefully see a reprint, which will be like the 5th reprint, which from Splotter is unheard of.
I mean, it's their most popular game.
Oh, by far. And for good reason. It's fantastic. I love it. That's all I'm going to say. I could gush for hours and hours, but I won't. Food Chain, number 1.
I like Food Chain. I just don't like playing with Adrian and Paul.
Yeah.
We'll do like a B team Food Chain.
So Wes had said that before. When we did our review, Wes said the exact same thing. He played with us at Gen Con. And he did very well. And he said that after that play, he felt that he was comfortable enough with being able to hold his own with Paul and I that Wes is now on board with playing with Paul and I. So maybe 1 or 2 more times, like, because your first couple times, yeah, you're going to be way disadvantaged, but 3rd, 4th, 5th doesn't make a big difference between 5th and 10th play. Like, you're not going to be that far behind in strategy.
Yeah.
So, got to get you a couple more B team plays, then we'll bump you up into the A leagues.
Yes.
Anyway, Jeff, what is your number 1?
No, you don't want me to have any comments?
Oh, do you have comments on Food Chain, Zach?
Is it just a fart noise?
No, I was just going to say that Food Chain Magnate was the first Splotter game I played, and after that I was like, well, if this is what Splotter games are, then no thank you. But I'm just not a fan of the game. I understand that it's super popular, and it just did not work with me at all. So,
okay.
That's all.
Fart noise complete.
Yeah.
Wait,
Jeff?
It sounded like a silent but deadly.
God damn it. All right. We're already over 2 hours. So, Jeff,
we have at least 25 more minutes.
Oh, yes. It's not going to stop.
Of just talking about Terraforming Mars and how it is the Mile High Game Guy's favorite game. So, because it is the only game that appeared on all 3 of our lists.
So, not only is it the only game that appeared on all 3 lists, it's the only game that appeared on more than 1 list.
Yep.
While we were doing this, like about halfway through, when I realized what was about to happen, I went back and I pulled up the top 10 from last time.
Mm-hmm.
So last time, we had only 1 game that was on all 3, and that was Twilight Imperium 3rd,
yep.
Which fell off 2 of our lists. You guys both had Pandemic Legacy, which we addressed why that fell off of both. That's not on any of the lists now.
Yep.
Zach, you and I had Splendor, which fell off both our lists. Mine probably much more expectedly.
Yeah.
And then you guys had, and this is a very similar, they're not exactly the same games, but Jeff, you had Arkham. And you had Eldritch Horror, which you kept Eldritch.
I mean,
Arkham fell off.
He has Arkham, the card
LCG.
game.
The card game.
Yeah.
But so there was a lot more last time where there was more things that kind of crossed over. Whereas this time there's one unifying game. We did not match up anywhere else but this one that was unanimous.
Yep. I'm pretty sure if we told people there's only one game that all of us had on our list, everything else was at, what was that game? I'm pretty sure they would be able to guess Terraforming Mars.
Yeah.
So before we start really gushing about this, so I talked about like my list was a little bit of an interesting dilemma. Number one was easy, and then I knew there was a good chunk there, and I started kind of filling them in. I was like, all right, like, yeah, Le Havre, Galerist, Indonesia, and then I was still like trying to like make sure I had everything. And I was like, I'll pull up my BGG rankings, and I'll look at what my rankings for games I played, and I have 4 games that are rated at a 10. And Terraforming is one of them. And I saw that. I was like, wait, I didn't write down Terraforming. All right, well, where do I... third. Yeah. I could squeeze that in at number 3. I couldn't quite put it above Le Havre. It was close.
Right.
Very close, but yeah, so good.
Yep. Still need to play the new map.
Yes. Both of them.
Yeah.
They look real good. I had them out and was eyeing them the other day.
I think we walked out of Gen Con with 4 of those.
I liked how the first time was we had 3 copies, and then Jeff still didn't have his.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, we forgot Jeff.
Yeah. And
thankfully, they had a lot of them,
Yes.
which was nice.
Yep.
They learned
every
from
time
last year.
we bought them from Steven. So it was nice. Like every time, like I didn't really talk to him. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I forgot to remind him that we'd given him beer in the past, and that he should just give us at least one. Like Steven, I was here yesterday. We bought 3 copies of this. We gave you beer. I'll give you more beer. Just give us one for free.
Just one.
But now, yeah, really excited for future expansions as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still eyeing that insert that works with my game trays that now makes it like over $100 of inserts and aftermarket. Oh God.
Considering now the situation with the game in our group, like who owns it, what inserts and everything they have, I am waiting until like they've announced that there's like a 6-cycle expansion series for this. I'm not buying an insert. Like I haven't even like opened my card decks. Like they're still in their shrink. Like I'm just.
Well, just know until you buy something that replaces those player boards, we're not playing on yours.
No, well, I'm not even opening mine because again, I don't need to.
You're just gonna collect.
Yes, I'm getting everything together until they're like, all right, this is final, and then like, Broken Token or Meeple Realty is like, here is the definitive ultra super box edition. Which at some point, Steven's going to have to do the same thing that Jamie did with Scythe. Like, this is the deluxe box. It's 12 inches tall because it fits everything.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I haven't gotten an insert yet for Scythe. I've got some new $10 coins coming in soon, though, actually. But yeah, Terraforming Mars, we've talked about it a million times on previous episodes, but it's still a fantastic engine building game. I may have won once ever of the dozen plus plays that I've had of this game, and it's still my favorite game.
Yep. I'm regularly in running for first, but I think I've only finished first once or twice.
It's not about winning.
No. And that's the thing
It's about denying me pets, apparently.
Yes. Now, yes. Fucking giving Zach pets. One of the 2 things that I love most about this game is that every time I play it, like you said, it's not about winning. Like most people, like the way the scoring works, you don't even know if you're in the running until the final scoring. So most of the game, it's just like, how well do you feel like you're executing your corporation and your like what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
And
you can probably count it out there, but I want to say there's even a rule in the rule book that's like if someone's taking too long on their turn because they're fucking counting points, like fucking they lose a turn or some shit.
I don't know.
Or it's something that's like you need to take a turn now or more. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that hasn't really ever been an issue. Like maybe the last couple turns, like people start to get a little bit more like, it's getting close.
Yeah.
Start denying, like, oh, this is going to give him a point. Don't put it there.
Yeah, but no one has ever just like let me see your cards to be like, okay, you've got 15 points. None of us are doing that, but that's also I think part of our group too that we don't.
Well, and then I mean, like
we would be like, stop fucking looking at my cards. Do your own shit.
Some of the immediate ones give you points. You turn those face down, and once it's face down, you're not seeing it again.
Every time I get that colony ship, that's like 4 points face down. Oh yeah.
But so for the most part, every time I've played, people don't get up like through most of the game. People are having a good time. They're doing their thing and they're having fun. And especially once we started playing with the Special Corps and the Corp Era deck, like you so much more feel like it's a fantastic engine building. You've got your engine, and these engines run. Like it's not like some games where you build an engine,
motherfucker.
Yeah, it's not like you build an engine and it's like, all right, does it start? Oh, it started. Game's over. Like it's like you build an engine and you start it and you get to run it, and that's awesome. And then the other thing I love is the visual side of this game. You start with this map, a bunch of orange. Red
empty
hexes that are empty, and then you start throwing on grass tiles and water tiles, and when you finish the game, it looks like you terraformed Mars.
Except that one game we played where it was like there's like two granary tiles on there.
There's a bunch of water and no green. It's just a wet red planet. But no, it's a fantastic game. I absolutely love it. Really good.
Yeah. Want to try out the new boards. Two new boards. I think that'd change up the game a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just make us more obsessed with terraforming Mars.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'm a little disappointed that in our review of Terraforming Mars, I'm like not gushing over it because I hadn't played enough, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I was just like, yeah, it's okay. Like, I can't really tell if the drafting help. It does. Like, or playing with the extra stuff, it really does. But yeah.
So clearly, what it sounds like is we just need to do an annual Terraforming Mars re-review.
Yeah, and just re.
I mean,
until they stop doing expansions.
We're gonna do the expansion review, right?
Yep.
Yes.
We'll just have a whole review just on the board expansion.
Yep.
Well, certainly we can. Maybe when Terraforming Venus comes out, we can wrap the two most recent expansions into a whole new review.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's really good. So, that was the only game that overlapped.
Yep.
Which I think it shows. One, how like now that we do this, I mean, we've been doing this for over a year. Mm-hmm. We've really, I think, kind of solidified who we are as gamers, and we don't overlap as much as we would think, considering kind of where we started. Which I think says a lot about the fact that we can still usually game together without.
Yeah. Well, these are the games that we love.
Yeah,
and there's still a bunch of games. There's like at least 5 more games that we like underneath this.
Yeah,
all of mine are just 2-player games. So Adrian, you can just fuck off.
Although
Zach and
I like a lot of these 2-player games. I mean, you might fuck me out of playing them.
No,
but
if you want to play War for the Ring, then you can play with Adrian.
Yeah,
there you go. You're there for
Twilight Struggle.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Those two.
Yeah. But yeah, like just so our tops are different. But like you said, like there's been games that both of you have mentioned where I'm like, yeah, that game was nearly on my list. And so I think that we all have our specific areas that we lean towards.
Yep.
But we are all still fairly omni gamers,
within reason.
Within reason. Well, yeah. More or less. Well, close enough.
Yeah.
I'm not nearly as puritanical about heavy games as some heavy gamers are. And you guys aren't nearly as anti-heavy game as some anti-heavy game people are. And it works. Like people have said in some of the reviews, like we cover a good spread of games. I think it works really well. I like it.
Yeah.
My games take too long.
Yeah, and mine do too.
Mine do too.
Yeah.
The ones we all like, which is why we don't all like the same games and why we don't all play the same games.
Yeah.
I think Star Realms and Seven Wonders Duel are probably the shortest.
Imperial Settlers, Isle of Skye, Race are my shortests.
Crokinole and Hanamikoji.
Yeah, otherwise everything else is like 3+ hours.
Stockpiles can get pretty short.
Yeah.
Stockpile can.
Well, that's again, yeah, but
But like War of the Ring, Star Wars Rebellion, Twilight Struggle, Gloomhaven, Blood Bowl. Those are all 2+ hours minimum.
Game of Thrones, Eldritch Horror, Terraforming Mars, Tales of the Arabian Nights, and Twilight Imperium.
Those are like 4 hour plus.
Food Chain, Laharv, Terraforming, Indonesia, Brass, and The Gallerist.
We like long games. Those are the games that stick with us.
Lengthy.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any other things for like honorable mentions or anything else you want to talk about regarding your lists?
There's other games?
Basically, I was just going to say like the ones that fell off. We already talked about Legacy. Splendor just sort of fell out of love. We'll see with the expansion how it changes. Love Letter, same sort of thing. Just played it enough. And then Spyfall just felt like all of these are just, I like them less and less.
Yeah. So before I go on to things that were on my previous top 10, so I already mentioned TI3, why it wasn't on here. Stockpile Networks, Lignum, Concordia, I don't own them. Spire, Sonabi, Climbers, not quite the right game. Lisboa, First Martians, and Vinos are 3 games that I own and that I could easily see working their way onto this list. I just have not played them enough, and that's something I desperately need to rectify.
Right.
As far as my old list, Agricola was replaced pretty much almost exactly with Le Havre. Codenames completely fell off. I haven't played that in a long time. Patchwork completely fell off. It's another one. I don't see, especially with Megan having been gone for so long, 2-player games haven't been hitting the table for me. So a lot of my stuff has moved away from that, with the exception of some like Race and Imperial Settlers. Yeah. Zombicide fell off. I haven't played that in years.
Yeah.
I have fond memories. I'd like to play it still, but Catan, I really like, but not, and it's not good enough now. It's old. It's not as good.
Oh, yeah, if you look at the Board Game Geek rating, it is plummeted as just newer and newer games.
Yeah.
So.
And then like Hanabi, I love Hanabi. And that Hanabi kind of fell in that 7 to 15. It just didn't quite make it, especially because it's just so limited who I'll play that with.
Mine, a lot of stuff fell off, like 40K, Robinson Crusoe, Arkham Horror, Pandemic, and Twilight Imperium. All fell off.
And Hero Quest.
Hero Quest was number 11.
On his curse one.
That was honorable mention.
Oh, it was an honorable mention.
That was my old one. That's definitely number 11.
It's listed as 10 on
Okay.
on this.
Maybe I fucked something up. Probably. I'm just going off my notes sheet from when I was writing it. Like Lords of Waterdeep fell off honorable mention because Champions Midgard has monkey stomped that one.
Yep. So why did TI3 fall off?
I don't know. It's a game I really, really like playing, but I think it's too...
Is it too limited in the time? Like,
it's not a game I can, I don't know, break out within a reasonable amount of time. Like preparation-wise.
Right.
Like, all right, guys, in like 3 weeks, we're going to play Twilight Imperium. Can everyone make it? And like, I got to do fucking wedding and my dad died. And so I don't know. It's too special of an event to be like, this is my favorite game.
Right. So would it be sort of like what we were saying, like with Pandemic and TI for him, where it's like it's just in its own sort of thing?
Yeah,
okay.
Like I like the game a lot, but it's still, I don't know. It's too hard to get to the table to be on a top 10 list anymore.
Gotcha.
What about 40K? Why did that fall off your list?
It's so much of an investment to try and get to. Like, I still love tabletop wargaming, but like 2-player asymmetric games have really supplanted that for me. Like, what I get out of 40K, I can get out of Rebellion and Blood Bowl and War of the Ring in the same amount of time without the incredible money investment.
Okay.
Things like, before I had Blood Bowl and Games Workshop specialist games at number 3, all the specialist games have fallen off now, where it's just Blood Bowl. Specialist games are starting to sort of come back, but I mean, Shadow War Armageddon was supposed to be kind of the new Armageddon, and that was sort of disappointing. They're coming out with the new Necromunda. Maybe those will kind of make a comeback. And I mean, I love things like Space Hulk and stuff like that, but there's better asymmetric games out there now.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't want to play, like, get fucking Paul to give me his fucking Rune Wars so I can put that together and see how that works. And maybe Rune Wars is going to be my favorite tabletop game.
I definitely would want to try that one.
But, I mean, there's just so much money investment in that anymore.
Right.
Like, buy the command unit, buy the fucking hero, buy the...
Those miniatures games are,
Yeah.
It's like the CCGs. It's like you can only really do one.
Yeah.
So I mentioned a bunch of games that I could see working their way onto my top 10 list. Like, they're on the horizon. Do you guys have games like that? Like, are there any games that you guys are kind of looking at now where you're like, I don't quite have enough experience with it, but I think that could go places?
First Martians, probably.
With Robinson Crusoe falling off, that makes sense.
I would say just for me right now, Gloomhaven. Mm-hmm. I know how I feel about the game, but I don't know how I feel about it in respect to putting it against other games.
Okay, cool.
I mean, TI4.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I'm like 99% sure that it's gonna...
Yeah, it's gonna make that like 7 to 15, it's gonna become like 8 to 15 because it's gonna fill one of those spots pretty solidly.
I mean, just looking through BGG, I mean, Photosynthesis, Ex Libris,
God, I
Wasteland Delivery, Civilization, Fallout. I mean, a lot of our kind of hotness games, but those all kind of go
Yeah.
right up my alley.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that then kind of wraps everything up, right?
Yeah.
For our list and everything. Real quick before we sign off, Zach, you did make a BGG thread kind of last minute there.
Yeah.
And we got a response.
Yes. So like the main thing I asked was like, how have your gaming habits changed since recently starting or from starting to actually getting into it and sort of finding out the sort of gamer you are? Like, how did you change? And so Bryant says, I began playing with the usual gateway games like Pandemic, Ticket to Ride, and Carcassonne. I have no problem playing them still, as they are great. However, I get more joy out of games with a little less randomness. Worker placement and midweight Euros in particular are my favorites, such as Concordia, Sulkin, Village, and Russian Railroads. Looking forward to hearing yours.
Yeah.
So I know for me at least, a lot of the games that I gatewayed into, I don't really play anymore.
Yeah.
Munchkin, hardcore, that's the pass. But like even like Betrayal, I just played too many times that I just don't really get any pleasure out of it anymore.
See, I just played Betrayal this weekend, and aside from the fact that we got a bad haunt, like because that's one of the downfalls of Betrayal, like, especially with the expansion, there's so many haunts. Some of them are shitty. We got a bad haunt. But everything up until then, I still really enjoyed. And it was one, like, it didn't make my top 10 last time, but it's one that it's close. Like, I still really like Betrayal. Yeah, sorry, I kind of
no, that's fine.
You mentioned a game, and I was like,
I think for me, it's just like that was my first like game that had any storytelling in it.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my god, and now it's just like I've played so many more that I like the storytelling more. That it's when I play that, it's just like it just feels sort of I don't know, just lacking in some way.
What I think is kind of interesting is so I got into the hobby almost 5 years ago, and my tastes in board games didn't like. I moved away from Munchkin well before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, Flux had already started to die off. Like, I bought Zombie Dice, like, pretty early on. And, like, I still own it because, whatever, it's zombie and it, like, looks okay sitting in a nook on my shelf.
Yeah.
I'm not ever going to want to play it. Just a bullshit Yahtzee mechanic. But it wasn't until a year of, like, doing the show, like, really spending the time to think about what I like and what I don't like that really dramatically started to change like what games I want to play and what games like I've got almost 100 games sitting on my shelf, and I'm starting to understand. Like I've always joked like people like cull their games. I'm like, no, I'm full on like until the pile collapses and kills me, I'm not getting rid of any. But more and more, like as we do this show now, as we've crossed this year, like thinking about this new top 10 and going back over what I have in my collection, there's a lot of stuff there that I have no desire to ever play again. Like, so then why have it? Why have it fill space? There's other people who like those games, or who might like them. So maybe I should start considering going through and putting some of those into, giveaways for the anniversaries or, math trades on BGG or something, So that's something that was something that was unthinkable to me, even 6 months ago. But now it's starting to be like, yeah, I've changed enough that doesn't really have a place in my collection.
Yeah. I've been doing that for a while of the games that I'm just like, oh, I don't want to, like, as it's been slowly evolving, I've been doing that. The only game I have, like I said many times, that I'm never going to play again is just as a reminder, fucking Munchkin Quest.
Yes. I remember being so excited when you picked that game up. We had such high hopes.
Yeah.
We were so naive.
I knew.
What about you, Jeff? You were quiet through all that. You got any kind of closing thoughts on evolving tastes in board games as you've reviewed and any of that?
I've definitely gone more to the asymmetrical two-player stuff, I've noticed. Like, as I was making my list, and I was like, man, there's a lot of, like, two-player games on here that are usually the higher length stuff. I still like co-op games a lot. I kind of fallen off competitive stuff a lot, mostly because I constantly lose and suck at them.
Our group's also pretty vicious when it comes to competitive, which can kill some of the fun.
Yeah, having me, Paul, and Adrian, that's not good for the fourth player.
Shit, having you and Paul isn't good for any of the other players.
Yeah.
Not that I don't enjoy the games, but it's usually just sort of like just going through the motions until someone else wins.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that's why I seem to always shine at the two-player stuff.
Right.
Within reason. I don't know if that's just more my strategy coming through better as like a war gamer, where it's always been a lot of one-on-one.
Right.
And just trying to make the best out of what you can.
Well, I mean, really, a lot of those war games were already asymmetrical two-player games,
Very
right?
much,
so
yeah.
Now you're like, oh, board games version, I don't have to spend thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Yeah, and it's probably just how I like grew up playing games with those that kind of like, I don't know, why not play like an awesome Star Wars one?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can get the mini version of that now.
Exactly.
What's the name of that one, Adrian?
Onslaught.
Fucking failure.
Oh my god.
Is it not?
No, it's Legion.
God damn it. God damn it.
So many times. I'm so glad you got that on air.
Yeah. I was hoping that would happen.
Shit.
And it did.
The confidence.
Yeah. Onslaught. Yeah, that's it. Uh-huh.
I nailed it.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been a return to our ridiculously long episodes.
Well, we didn't have one last week, so
Yeah.
this is really just making up for it.
Yes.
And we did just talk about like 30 fucking games.
Yes.
27?
No. It's not that. It's our last one was an hour and 10 minutes shorter.
Yes. So this one's been long, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, I really enjoyed.
We've learned to talk more, basically.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed getting to go back through going through again and formulating this list, and then getting to really talk about some of my favorite games. Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff I love about this hobby. That's why I started podcasting. Like, I like talking about games, and when I get to talk about my favorite games, especially now that I really am getting a better handle on what my favorite games are, that's awesome. I loved it.
Yep.
So hopefully, listeners, you did too.
Fingers
If you
crossed.
made it all the way.
If you made it.
Congratulations if you made it. Just
Yep.
like applause, kind of a weird, you're like standing on a globe for some reason. All your friends are around you clapping randomly. It's a Neon Geneon Evangelion
Yes.
reference.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then you hear these in the distance.
I remember that at the end of the anime.
That was fun.
There you go. Feel free to edit that out.
They're probably going to.
That's okay.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and
Yep,
we
there's-
will.
There's Twitter and emails. And
Yeah. Sure. I'm tired. It's late. If you want to get a hold of us, you can email us. If you have any thoughts on our top 10 list, feel free to critique them or talk about which one of us is top 10 most aligns with you. That email address
emails at milehighgameguys.com.
is a fantastic way to get a hold of us. Another great way is through Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
And I am Jeff_MHGG.
You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram /MileHighGameGuys. And we are on Board Game Geek, guild number 2731, where there will be shortly after this episode airs, if not already by the time this episode airs, a thread for next week's review, which is Fury of Dracula.
Rawr.
Dracula is now a cat.
Yep.
I
He's
forgot
got
all,
fangs.
forgot all about the cat card in Fury of Dracula.
Yep.
But yeah, so be sure and tune in for that one. If you have any thoughts on it, go check out that thread and comment on it. If you would like to support the show, you can always check out our Patreon, patreon.com/milehighgameguys. We really appreciate all of the support that our current patrons give us, and any more can only help us be better. So,
Indeed.
yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, thank you for listening. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the word, whatever. Let people know. If you like our show, other people might also like our show. So, thanks everybody for listening. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I am Asymmetrical Jeff.
Bye.
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 How long have we known Paul?
Under a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Forever.
It seems like so long.
Seems like an eternity.
Turns out that smugness just makes our friendship seem so long. But
Punchboard Media,
where we all
Bring something
to the table.
pull up a chair
At punchboardmedia.com.